Let's start with what Bosbec actually is, because that context matters for everything that follows. Bosbec is a cloud-based integration and automation platform. Organizations use it to connect their systems, automate workflows, and move fast. Without heavy coding or expensive IT projects, it's a horizontal platform, meaning it doesn't solve one specific problem. It solves the category of problem where you need things to talk to each other, act on data, and do it reliably at scale. Now, in this presentation, we're going to zoom in on one particular area where Bosbec adds a lot of value right now, and that's AI. Specifically, how you use Bosbec to build the integration layer that connects your existing systems to AI services like Claude or ChatGPT. MCP, the Model Context Protocol, is a great example of the kind of solution you can build in Bosbec to do exactly that. It's not the only thing Bosbec does, but it's a powerful, concrete illustration of the platform in action. So that's the frame for today. Bosbec as the platform, MCP as the example, and a real customer case to make it tangible. We'll keep this compact and practical, about 15 minutes. We start with a quick picture of what Bosbec actually is, for anyone who hasn't come across the platform before. Then we get into MCP, what it is, why it matters, and importantly, not as an abstract concept, but as something you can genuinely set up and run. The middle section is about the practical side, how you build this in Bosbec, what happens to the data along the way, and why that matters from a security and cost perspective. And we close with a real customer case, an organization using Bosbec MCP to answer questions they simply couldn't answer before without putting an analyst on it for several days. Hold your questions to the end, if you can, but feel free to flag anything that's unclear along the way. Bosbec isn't new. It's a mature integration and automation platform that organizations use to connect systems, automate workflows, and move fast, without needing a heavy IT project every time something needs to change. What makes this relevant right now is that Bosbec plays three distinct roles in the AI era. The first is that Bosbec itself uses AI as a built-in tool while you're building, like a co-pilot in the design process. The second is that you can build entire AI-driven business solutions on top of the platform. Automated decisions, intelligent customer journeys, data flows that actually reason and act. But the third role, and this is where we'll spend most of our time today, is Bosbec as the secure integration layer that exposes the right data to AI services. MCP is a powerful example of what you can build in that layer, but it's one example among several possible solutions. Let me paint a simple picture. On the left, you have your systems, everything from CRMs and databases to IoT sensors and web applications. On the right, you have AI services like Claude, ChatGPT, and Azure Copilot. They're intelligent, but they're blind without data. In the middle sits Bosbec. That's where the work happens. Bosbec receives a request from the AI service, fetches data from the right system, strips out what shouldn't be passed on, formats it correctly, and delivers. MCP, the Model Context Protocol, is the standardized language that tells the AI service how to ask the question in the first place. Think of it as a well-defined API, but optimized for the way AI models actually work. The beautiful thing is that you don't need to touch your existing systems, you don't need to migrate data anywhere, you're adding a controlled layer on top of what you already have. So what does it actually look like when you build this? It's simpler than you might expect. In Bosbec, you work in a visual low-code builder. You wire together a workflow that describes where data should come from, what gets filtered out, how it should be transformed, and what gets exposed to the AI service. Step 1 is connecting your data sources. That might be an API call to your CRM, A database query, a file import, Bosbec handles the integration either way. Step 2 is the filtering. This is where you decide exactly which fields go forward. Personal data gets stripped. Sensitive business information gets masked. It's not automatic. You configure it, but once configured, it's consistent and auditable every single time. Step 3 is exposing it as an MCP endpoint. From that point on, any AI service that supports MCP can query your data in real time, with full logging and control over how much data actually gets sent. Let's be honest about what happens if you skip that middle layer entirely. If an AI service pulls raw data directly, unfiltered, unstructured, you end up with 3 problems at once. First, personal data and sensitive business information can leak without you noticing. Second, AI services charge per token, and if you're sending large volumes of irrelevant data, you're burning money for no benefit. And third, and this one surprises people, AI models actually give worse answers when they're drowning in noise. More data isn't always better. The right data is better. The Bosbec MCP layer solves all 3 at the same time. You control exactly what goes out, it stays consistent and auditable, and the AI service gets a clean, well-structured context to work with. The result is stronger compliance, lower cost, and better quality answers. That's a rare combination. This is a bit more under the hood, but it matters if you care about security and GDPR. The orchestration side is about flexibility. You decide which fields are included, how data gets combined from multiple sources, what format it's delivered in, and according to which rules. You own the flow, not the vendor. The security piece is critical. Bosbec uses no scripts, only fixed configured jobs. That might sound dull, but it's actually a significant strength. It means what happens to your data is always transparent and can be reviewed by an external auditor. The ISO 27001 compliant adds an independent confirmation that the processes hold up. And then there's an economic dimension people often miss. AI services charge per token. By sending compressed, relevant data instead of raw exports, you can cut costs dramatically without sacrificing any quality in the responses. That's exactly what the token budget control in Bosbec lets you do. Let me walk you through a real example. The customer stays anonymous, but the situation is genuine. It's an organization in the healthcare sector that communicates with their users through Bosbec, SMS, confirmations, reminders, follow-ups. All of that communication generates data. Alongside that sits booking data, actual outcomes, who showed up, who didn't, at which times. They wanted to understand the connection. Does a particular message format lead to more bookings? Are there periods where they send high volumes of messages but still see drop-off? Does channel or timing correlate with outcome? What's interesting here is that both data sources, the message log and the booking outcomes, live inside Bosbec. Previously, comparing them was close to impossible without putting an analyst on the task for several days. Now, some Bosbec MCP pulls both data streams, anonymizes them, and exposes them to Claude, which can cross-reference them in real time. The output, a trend analysis, concrete insights, actionable recommendations, is ready in minutes, not days. That's the real value. When you look at the alternatives, it becomes clear pretty quickly why Bosbec is worth paying attention to. MuleSoft and Boomi are powerful, but they're built for large enterprise projects with long lead times and serious price tags, and neither has native MCP support. Azure Integration Services is Microsoft's answer, cheaper but still complex to set up, and MCP support is partial at best. Custom development gives you maximum flexibility but maximum risk. All maintenance lands with you, and you own every GDPR problem that surfaces along the way. Zapier and Make are easy to get started with, but they weren't built for complex data flows or enterprise-grade security. Bosbec combines fast implementation. We're talking days to weeks, not months, with built-in ISO 27001 security and native MCP support. And the pricing model is consumption-based, no large upfront license fee. Let me bring it together in a minute. We haven't invented anything new. We've taken what you already have, your systems, your data, and made it accessible to AI in a controlled, secure, and cost-efficient way. It doesn't require a new data cloud. It doesn't require rebuilding your existing systems. It requires a well-configured Bosbec workflow and an MCP endpoint. We've shown it in production. One customer can now ask questions about their communication and booking data that they simply couldn't answer before without manual analytical work, and get a response in minutes. The natural next step, if you're curious, is a demo with your own data. We set up a test flow against your systems and show you what it looks like in reality. No big commitment, no long sales process. Thank you for your time. Questions?